Why did you kidnap and lock the iCarly team in your basement?
Carlos, I couldn't help myself. I really wanted friends, and that's the only way I could get friends, okay?
Hey everybody, how are you? My name is Carlos Agaon. Welcome to the show. I usually start these interviews by, introducing my guest, but not this time because I have a very important thing to say before anything else. It's a very serious thing, but I think it's very, very important. Why did you kidnap and lock the iCarly team in your basement?
Carlos, I couldn't help myself. I really wanted friends, and that's the only way I could get friends, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, Danielle Morrow, she's a great actress. She's so talented. She's so professional. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you, Carlos. I'm so excited to be here.
Tell us about this character, Nora, because it is unbelievable.
Yeah, what's up, Carls? Can I please have some hot mustard for my egg roll?
Well, sure. That's the kind of thing friends do for each other, so I'd be happy to.
Oh my gosh, I love Nora. So she, as I'm sure many people know who have watched the show, but if you haven't, she is a character on iCarly who is obsessed with the iCarly gang. And we first meet her on her, I believe it's her 16th birthday. And she really wants to impress people. She doesn't really have any friends and she really wants to impress people. So she convinces the iCarly gang to come over. But the thing with Nora is she always takes it that one extra step too far, and she ends up kidnapping them in her basement and holding them hostage. So, she's got regulation control issues, I think.
Yeah, at first, we are like so empathic with this character. We have a lot of empathy because we say, she's alone, she wants friends, but she's crazy. She's a psychopath.
That's what's the fun thing I think about her is you can relate to her, even though she takes it too far and is obviously a crazy character. Besides, if you take out the kidnapping aspect, there's a lot you can relate to Nora about, especially as young people grow. Even when you do grow up, even when you become an adult, you still want to looked at as cool and to have friends and to be accepted. So I think that's such a relatable characteristic about her that a lot of people connect with.
Yeah, I don't know if you agree with me, but even though if you were like very popular in high school, there were some moments in life when everybody felt alone. So I think that's why this 100%. Character is very relatable.
I totally agree with you. Even if you look at people who you think have it all, everyone experiences loneliness. So I hope that we can all just be more empathetic towards one another and know that we're all in this world together.
Of course. How did you get this part? You did a casting. How was it?
Yeah, I auditioned for this role. I got the audition. My manager called me, said, you have an audition for iCarly. I said, great. They said, it's an interesting character. I said, okay. And I read the sides and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have so much fun with this audition. And that's what I did. I went in, I made a character choice. They obviously wrote a really great character for Nora. But then I kind of made some choices on my own. And the casting directors at iCarly are the best. They're so supportive.
Okay, I see. That's awesome. And when you heard that you got the part, you got a call saying that you got the part. How did you feel?
I felt excited. I was super excited. I was still starting out in acting, and I was just excited to get a job. I didn't really know much about iCarly, the show. So I then watched a few episodes to see, what the show was, and it looked so fun. So I was very, very excited to get to be on the show and then also play this really fun character.
Of course. And I think the most interesting thing about Nora is that there's this combination between I mean, she's a psychopath, but she has also these comedy parts, and that makes it really, really interesting.
It's so fun. I mean, again, and this is such a testament to the writers on iCarly as well, with how talented they are. They really write some fantastic dialogue for you and really want you to have fun playing the character you come up with, and are very supportive of that. So it was a blast to play her.
Of course. I mean, iCarly was the big show at the time. And this episode, the first appearance of Nora, was one of the most popular episodes in the whole show.
I know. And what's funny too, we shot it, and then it took about a year before they aired it.
Oh.
So I shot it. I was like, this is so fun. But again, just like thinking it's a one-off episode and feeling like, wow, I'm so lucky I got to be in like an hour-long episode. So I got to work for 2 weeks instead of 1 week. So I was just thinking when we shot it, how fun that was. But then I was like, when is it going to air? It just wasn't airing. And I'm like, okay. And I kind of forgot about it. And then a year later, they're like, we're airing it as this movie. I said, cool. And then I found out a couple days later that it was hugely popular. At that time, it was the highest rated show. And I was like, this is so cool. This is awesome. And again, not thinking much about it, but just being like, that's fun. And then I was very lucky that they then asked me to come back and reprise the role, which was very, very fun.
I don't know how it was in the United States, but here in Mexico, not all the episodes had like a promo before airing. And this episode had like 1 month before airing the show here in Mexico, there were promos of this psychopath girl that is kidnapping iCarly, and everyone was freaked out. So I remember all my friends reunite together. We made a TV night and we watched the premiere of the show. It was crazy.
That is so cool to hear. That's really cool to hear. I'm glad I scared you guys.
You certainly did. And how was it like working with, Miranda, Nathan, Jeanette, Jerry was awesome. How was the experience?
It was so fun. I actually knew Jerry a little bit because he and I took a Groundlings class, and Groundlings is this comedy theater in Los Angeles where they teach sketch and improv. So Jerry and I were in a class together. We were in a sketch writing class together a year or two before. So I knew him. And then I was like, oh my gosh, you're on this show. It was so funny that I was like, I can't believe you're on the show. So it was nice to see someone familiar. But then, yeah, meeting Miranda and Nathan and Jeanette, they were so sweet, so talented, so professional. They just the nicest kids.
And this final scene of the very first appearance of Nora, this fight with Gibby, it was you, or it was like a stunt, or how was it?
Both. It was both me and a stunt person, mainly a stunt person, as I am like not that coordinated. But the other really cool thing about iCarly, as I'm sure you know by watching a lot of the episodes, there are a lot of stunts and fight scenes and really action-packed things. And they have one of the best stunt coordinators in Hollywood, who is like a second-generation stunt coordinator. So his dad was a stunt coordinator in a lot of early cowboy movies, which is very cool. And so he had this crew of just like amazing, talented people who, if the director was like, could we try this thing? They were like, let's do it. And they would do it. And we'd be like, oh my gosh, how did you just do like a flip handstand and then grab the stick in your hand at the same time? They're just like amazing people.
Of course.
So to answer your question, it was both. I would say all the really cool stunts were probably not me. But anything where you could see my face was obviously me. And then anytime where like a lot of my hair was in my face was most likely the stunt coordinator.
Okay.
Who made me look so good and so badass. And I was so appreciative.
Because you didn't get to kidnap iCarly once. You did it twice, because you came back in season 5.
Now, Mother and I will go fetch my birthday cake.
Wait here, children.
Oh, silly Mother. They couldn't leave if they wanted to.
You would think I would have learned my lesson. I had to go in and try again with my parents this time.
Was it hard, like, to play the character again after that time?
It was, because you're exactly right, because I had to remember, I didn't think I was coming back. I thought it was a one-off part. So to be called again to do it again, I was like, oh, this is so exciting. But then I was like, oh, wait, how did I play this character? You have to remember the voice you did, the mannerisms. So I had to rewatch that first episode to just, remember certain things about her so it could stay consistent.
And then you got back again in this spin-off series, Sam and Cat, and working with this great superstar, Ariana Grande this time. Wow.
I know, how amazing is that? That kind of right before she really blew up into superstardom. It was, again, super fun. It was an episode that they kind of took Silence of the Lambs as their inspiration. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie. It's a great, very scary movie. Mm-hmm. But that was also super fun because that's obviously a very iconic movie. So it was really fun to do the iCarly or the Sam and Cat version of that show and do a little homage to that. So I had a ton of fun doing that episode.
And fun story, Sam and Cat was not like very, very popular here in Mexico because they didn't dub it like into Spanish at first. Yeah. But I heard this morning when I was looking for your information, I saw that you came back for Sam and Cat, and I watched the episode this morning. It's hilarious.
It was so fun. I have to say that's probably one of my most favorite because I think the character by that point was really well developed both by the writers, the directors, the producer, and then I just felt more comfortable as her. But again, just to play on that, I think the Silence of the Lambs backdrop is such a perfect backdrop for her. I thought it was great. And Neville could be in it. Like, it just was such a fun episode.
Of course it was. And when you first heard they were doing a reboot of iCarly, did you have like this hope that they would call you again, or you didn't think?
Oh, totally. I was like, well, I was excited. I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. And then I was like, well, they could be, because I knew they were going to be redoing it, but more from age appropriate where they are now in their 20s. So I was like, there's a chance that Nora could be a little too broad for the direction they're going in. Again, not having known any of the information. So I was a little like I could see them maybe not asking me back. But then I did get a phone call to do an episode for season 1. And I was so, so excited to be back and to explore Nora as an adult, as someone who still has that crazy side to her, but has also worked through a lot of her issues, who's working on herself, I believe she says. And it was super fun because it just felt really casual. Like, I got to stop by and visit and have fun for a little while. And I'm so thankful that they asked me back for that.
Oh, I thought that was you. Hey, Fredward. Love the flavor saver.
I should have guessed you were I Hate Carly 57.
And this scene with the chair in the restaurant, I laughed so hard at that one. I mean, that was awesome.
It was so funny. Yeah, I love all their physical comedy bits. I think that's such a strength, their physical comedy angle. Because it's not done a lot on shows, the physical comedy, and I think it's so fun when it happens.
I love this place. It's so romantic.
Are you here with anybody?
No. Should I join you?
I would say, I don't know if you agree with me, but I would say Nora is a character that completely changed your artistic life.
Totally. She did. I feel like having the freedom to play someone who kind of has no boundaries, yeah. And but like we were talking about earlier, still has a lot of I don't know, I just think I won't be able to ever play a character like that again, and I'm just so grateful that I got to explore that and have fun and just kind of have the freedom to go there and experiment. And I'm so grateful for that.
Okay, and for those who want to learn about, how this kind of TV shows are done, do you got a chance like to improvise some scenes or do your thing in iCarly, or you had to follow the script like literally?
It definitely depended on the show. I would say the earlier iCarlys that I did, they were more like stay with the script, and then they would possibly, like, the writers and the producers, they would feed you lines to do, like, let's try this line. And the reboot, I would say, gave a little more freedom to improvise a bit, to have a little bit more input. But it also, I would say with the reboot, probably depended on who the director was as well. And the director I had was very collaborative, and she was very supportive of, like, let's figure this out together and try different things. So I got to definitely do that with this one. But the earlier episodes were a little bit more just probably do the words that are on the page.
Okay, I see. That's very interesting. And you know what? Not all the people know, but Nora is married to Lubert.
Yes. I am married to Jeremy Rowley, aka Lubert. We met, weirdly, he obviously had done a ton of iCarly's episodes. And like I had mentioned earlier, I was in the Groundlings. I was taking classes there, and he was a main performer at the Groundlings. But we never met through iCarly or the Groundlings, which is so funny because when we did meet and we had our first date, we both were like, that's so crazy. We have these two big things in our lives, and this is not how we met. Because with iCarly, we never did any episodes together. And then at the Groundlings Theater, I was still taking classes, and he was like one of the main performers. He had already done the program and was a Groundling. And then, yeah, we met at a friend's show, and we obviously connected, and then we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we have these two things in common, which was really funny. Yeah.
That's so fun. What a coincidence.
I know.
That's awesome. And you've also been on another iCarly shows, like another Nickelodeon shows. I mean, like Henry Danger, like Nicky, Ricky, Dick, and Don. How was it?
So fun. Henry Danger was really fun because actually Jeremy and I got to do that together. Mm-hmm. And again, play pretty big characters. So that I loved because that was the first time I got to act with Jeremy. So that will always be very fun and special to think about, just doing that. Nicky, Ricky, Dicky, Don was also super fun. It was fun because I think when I did it, it just started airing or maybe was about to premiere. It was very early on when I did it. So it still had that kind of a new, exciting factor to it. All the actors are excited to be there and they all hope it does well. And it was fun.
Awesome. And I remember also there was a time like a few years ago, I was here in my house and my sister was watching, I believe it's Good Luck Charlie.
Yeah.
On the channel. And I was just passing by and I looked on the screen and I said, that's Nora.
Yes. Good Luck Charlie was so fun too. Because again, that was just like a different character, just kind of like a regular teen girl who was bad at acting. And that's always fun to do. And the fun thing about that show too, the other shows, they have a laugh track, but they're not filmed in front of a studio audience. And Good Luck Charlie actually is filmed in front of a studio audience. So that was the first time I had ever done that. I've done plays before, but that was the first time doing like a show, like a filmed sitcom in front of a studio audience, which is a little like you get those butterflies in your stomach because you do feel like, oh, there's an audience watching you and they're going to laugh or they're not going to laugh at the way you do this, you know? So I remember that being really fun and different.
And that is so like interesting for us, because in Mexico, we don't do that. We don't have like audience when we're filming sitcoms here. So it's crazy.
Yeah. And like I said, like with iCarly, and Henry Danger, they don't do audiences either. You'll do the lines, and the director and writer, they'll kind of laugh, so you know this is where we're going to put in the laugh track, so you know when to pause and stuff like that. Yeah, just so you're not just talking over everything. So then when they have to add the laugh track back in, it's like, we can't do it because they keep talking. So they'll laugh on set. But yeah, that was the first time doing it in front of an actual audience and genuinely hearing, oh, did they like that joke or did they not like that joke? So that was fun.
And I believe that makes it like the comedy more organic. Like I believe it would be like a little awkward if you're like making a joke and nobody's laughing because nobody's there, and you don't know if you did it right or it was like the right joke or not.
Yeah, you get instant true feedback from the audience that way. So then the writers especially know, like, you know what, this isn't working, or we could get bigger laughs if we punch it up. So it's a great tool for people. But it also, I understand, you know, on the flip side of the coin, when there isn't an audience there, you do have the time to maybe take your time a little bit more with certain things, and do setups and things like that, because you don't have the background noise of, oh, we have to entertain the audience that's here so they don't get bored and sleepy. We keep their energy high. So there's definitely benefits to both.
Of course, I can imagine. Let's go back to your roots. I mean, do you remember the moment when you realized you wanted to be an actress?
Yeah, I mean, as a little kid, I always loved performing. My brother and I watched this show. You're probably way too young. It was called In Living Color. And it was kind of like SNL, Saturday Night Live, but like a different one. Jim Carrey was on it. The Wayans brothers were on it. And they also had like Fly Girls, and J-Lo was a Fly Girl. So it was a really, yeah, you should definitely check out some clips on YouTube because it just was a fun sketch show. Anyways, so my brother and I would watch that, and we would always reenact scenes and sketches they did on there. So I always loved performing. And then my mom got me into some community theater where I did plays, and I always loved doing that. And then I would say the biggest step I did was when I started this community theater in my hometown, and it was run by Ellen Morano, who is Vanessa Morano and Laura Morano's mom, and she did scene study and improv and audition technique, just kind of everything. And it was so fun, and I felt like that's where I really learned how to grow and become a stronger actor through her. And then she was the one who recommended me auditioning for the Groundlings Theater out in Los Angeles. And again, that is a sketch and improv theater that a lot of amazing comedians have gone, like Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, Jordan Black, Maya Rudolph, like all came from there. So it's like major comedy players. And again, that helped me find not only a stronger voice in comedy, but it also helped me find a community of people who I was like, oh my gosh, we can collaborate on things. We're writing together. We're shooting some things together. We're performing on stage together, and we're just hanging out, you know, even when we're not performing. And I would say that was also a huge thing for me, is just finding a community of people who love doing the same thing.
And you really become like a family.
You totally do. Because I think there's just an understanding of what it's like to really go through the acting process of going on auditions where they go horribly, where you're like, oh my God, that went horribly. I'm so embarrassed. I'm never going to work again. And then you have a group of people who are like, I had the same thing. Don't worry. We got this. Let's do something else together. Like, you just have that support support system who really gets the process versus someone who isn't in that world, who can be, of course, sympathetic and there for you, but just doesn't really get the whole thing, you know? They don't get what that process is like.
Of course, I understand. Do you remember the moment when you did your professional debut on TV? How was it?
Oh my gosh. So it was for, and again, I don't know did you guys have the show Heroes in Mexico?
Yeah, we had.
Yeah. So that was my first on-screen TV role. And Hayden, it was like maybe the first or second episode, Hayden Panettiere's character, the cheerleader, the character started out, she was like a very popular cheerleader girl, like the cool girl at high school. So I got a role. It was 2 words. It was just saying, "Hey, Claire." I just said, "Hey, Claire," as I was walking throughout the school. And I played kind of like a nerdy girl. And that was it. And I wasn't, SAG-AFTRA is our acting union. And I auditioned for the role and I wasn't in the union yet. And they Taft-Hartley'd me, which means they just put me in the union. They paid for my initial fee. And then I got a trailer and I was on set and the director was like, "Good job." It just was such a fun day because it was my first job. And even though it was 2 words, it was like such a big deal for me.
Of course, every role is important.
I agree. I completely agree. Even background role, I feel like every role adds to the scenes we are watching on screen.
Of course. Do you like to watch yourself on TV?
No, I do not. I hate it. The second I see even a clip, I'm just like, oh God, no. I want to stretch my eyes out. No, I don't want to see this. And then I'll kind of like calm down. I'll be like, okay, let me just see how it looked. And then by the 3rd time, I can actually maybe sit and actually just watch it and see the story and the performance and all that stuff. But for me, it's not particularly pleasant.
Because a lot of actors say that even though you like it or you don't, it is important that you watch yourself because that's the way you get your own feedback and you can see like, I could have done this better. I like this one. I should get into this more. I mean, you learn from yourself.
I totally agree. I think it is important to watch yourself. And, you know, it is when you're watching kind of the final product, it goes through, of course, editing and they're picking your best takes from what you've done. But I really recommend, especially for actors starting out, even just filming yourself on your phone or looking in the mirror. And again, speaking as someone who also hates watching herself, I know it can be cringy for some people, but I completely agree. It's really important to see how you look and because you may think, oh, I think I'm doing this. I think I'm showing that I'm angry or that I'm happy. But then you see it and you're like, oh, wait, no, I'm not. I'm absolutely not doing that. Or, oh, you know what? This is actually a little too big. I need to take it down a little bit. So I think it's really important, especially when you do start to get into the audition process to watch yourself, film yourself, see how it's looking and translating.
Of course, very important to all of the people who are watching and want to become actors. That's a very good advice. And aside from that one, for all of these people that want to go to Hollywood, start working in different shows or in movies or you know, become actors or actress, what would you suggest? What would be your advice to them?
Well, the biggest thing I think is taking classes where you feel a good energy, because there's obviously lots of different places where they will gladly take your money and have you participate in their class, but they're not necessarily a good fit for you and not worth your time or money. So the first thing I would say is like, try to look up maybe wherever you're deciding to go, look up some classes that a lot of people recommend and start there, whether it is a comedy theater like the Groundlings, or it's a dramatic reading class, or even commercial audition classes, I think are so important, because especially if you're starting out, commercials are a great way to start to get your foot in the door and start out there. So I really recommend taking those classes. And another positive of taking classes is, again, like I mentioned earlier, finding people who are in the same boat as you and to develop that sense of community, because I really feel like it can be very lonely. It can be very emotional. Things don't go your way. Things go the way for other people. It may seem like, oh, it's happening for these people and it's not happening for me. And it just, if you connect with people and you start creating your own projects and doing your own thing, I think that will do wonders for you and your creativity, because we live in a world right now where people are being discovered off of TikToks. You know, you can make a TikTok from anywhere. You don't have to come to LA. You can literally stay in your room. And if you have a great idea, you could make a mini movie off of your iPhone and upload it onto YouTube. Like, that is another really big benefit about today and an advantage of today. So if you're someone who's like, I can't make the move to LA, I financially can't do it, or it's just not something I can do right now, but you're craving that creative process, find a local place around you, a theater, wherever, where again, you can meet people who want to be creating as well, where you can start shooting some things, creating projects, or even on your own. You can create your own videos by yourself. Absolutely do it. There's some great editing apps as well. So I also feel like if for someone who wants to get in this world, but again, just can't make it out to LA, or thinks like, it's just not going to work for me, just start doing stuff on your phone, you know, start there, because it's great practice, and it'll get you in that creative zone as well. It'll make you feel like you're doing something.
Of course. And, you know, I would say that people from outside the United States often think that Hollywood and Los Angeles is like pretty far, like in other world, that they would never get there. And it's more close than we think. It's closer. I mean, people are, we can be connected through these apps like we are doing right now, like speaking to each other. It's not far from us anymore. I mean,
I completely
we have no borders.
agree. I totally agree. And I mean, look at the TV shows and movies that are really doing well right now. I mean, you have a movie or a TV show like Squid Game, which was the #1 show. It starred no one from America. It was written by no one from America. It was written by, I think this was one of the first projects he had ever done. And it just shows you, we as an audience, a viewing audience, are really interested in different takes and different voices. So don't think because, oh, I'm not in LA, I'm not in Hollywood, I can't do it, I don't have an agent, I don't have a connection, that you can't do it. We live in a different world. And I would say if you put in the work and you're creative, things can still start happening. And I just feel like we have to take advantage of that.
Of course. Danielle Morrow, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for everything you shared. Thank you for all your experiences, for making this possible. You're one of my very first interviews in English. I'm not a native speaker. Thank you so much for being here. So it was a big pleasure.
Oh my gosh, Carlos, thank you so much for having me. Your English is perfect.
Thank you. Where can we follow you on social media?
I'm on Instagram at Dani, DANI, Mo, MO, to the row. It's a complicated name. My TikTok is a little simpler. It's at Dani_Morrow, MORROW.
And speaking of TikTok, you're amazing on TikTok.
Oh, thank you. Okay, that is the other thing. So almost like a year ago, I was like, okay, I'll try TikTok. I didn't want to go. I just thought it was like this really young person's app that I was like, I don't dance. I don't, what am I supposed to do on here? And I was feeling creatively stifled because, of COVID, auditions were like just everything. And I was like, I needed a creative outlet. And then I went on and I have had so much fun. I feel like TikTok has made me feel more creative.
You certainly are. I mean, you certainly are. You're hilarious as well.
Oh, thank you.
I would do it again. I would.
Thank you so much to everybody. See you next week. Follow us on social media and click for more interviews. Subscribe.